All right, so we're starting with the REDCap system, the EYT Youth Participant Data System. Let's back up. When you first log into REDCap, you'll have two projects listed on your My Projects page. The EYT Program Level Data Project, which is used for entering in community awareness information about performance measures, planned adaptations, and parent programming. The other project is the EYT Youth Participant Data Project. This is the project where you enter information about each cohort that you implement, the youth that you serve, fidelity logs, and youth surveys. So the changes we're going to highlight in this webinar all take place in the EYT Youth Participant Data Project. So we're currently in the project homepage. You can tell because this tab is highlighted. To enter data for a cohort, we must first create a record for that cohort. Now, a cohort is defined as a group of youth who progress through the EYT program together in the same programming class, session, or group of sessions. If you are providing programming to multiple groups of youth at the same time, but these groups meet separately, each group of youth would be a separate cohort and have their own record. You will create a record for every cohort that you implement. To create a new record, click on the Add Edit Records that you'll find on the left-hand side of the screen. Records are identified by a unique cohort ID. The cohort ID is created by using the first two letters of the grantee agency, followed by the first two letters of the school or facility, followed by a 3-digit number. Use a serial number for the next cohort. So for example, 001, 002, 003. This formula can be found in the evaluation guide and is also listed in the parentheses right here for reference. So you'll want to enter in your cohort ID into the section where it says enter a new or existing cohort ID. For this example, we'll be entering in MPHI 003, and we'll be hitting the enter button on our keyboard. This takes us to the record homepage of the cohort ID MPHI 003. On the page, we see a list of forms listed under the data collection instrument box that include the cohort, fidelity logs, participants, CSL projects and CSL survey, and the entry survey and the exit survey, which are the two new surveys for this project. The EYT survey, youth survey, was previously used and is no longer going to be visible for you all. The first change that we're going to highlight can be found in the cohort form. Click on the gray cohort status button to open the form. As you can see, a majority of the items on this, the information collected on this form is the same. So you'll select your organization, enter in a cohort description, select a programming start date and end date, select the curriculum that you're using, the location of your programming, the city and the county, the setting that it took place, and then whether the cohort participated in a CSL project. The only change that's been made to this cohort form is found underneath the settings section. As you can see in the settings section, we've now added a new option of online. If youth are in person and you are presenting the curriculum virtually or online, you would select online as your setting. If you are in person with the youth and the virtual programming is used to supplement the lesson, please select the appropriate setting where you met with the youth, in the school or after the school. And then once you are done filling out the cohort form, you'll select complete and save and exit the form. The second change to the REDCap system can be found on the participants form. There's been one change that's been made to this form. The question of is the youth in middle school or high school has been added as a question. If the youth is in high school, you'll select high school. If the youth is in middle school, you'll select middle school. And if the school status is unknown, you can select unknown. And please note that this is for federal reporting purposes only. It does not have anything to do with the surveys or the survey data. The most significant change that's been made to the Youth Participant Data Project is the addition of the entry and exit surveys. So again, we're back to the record homepage of the MPHI 001 record, and we'll go into the entry survey. Because the surveys are no longer linked, the entry and exit surveys are in separate forms. So when you open up the survey, you'll select which survey you're going to be entering data for, and then fill in the participants' responses. Note that the questions will change slightly depending on the survey version that you select. You will follow the same process with the exit survey. If you are administering the survey electronically, you do not need to fill out the entry and exit survey forms in REDCap because they will already be entered into the system when the youth takes the survey using the link. However, if you are using the online link for the survey collection, please remember to fill out the cohort form, fidelity logs, and participant form, and if applicable, the CSL projects and CSL project survey forms in the EYT Youth Participant Data Project. At this time, are there any questions about the about the changes that are made in the REDCap system?
So you said if we do the survey online, then we don't need the entry and the exit. Why is that?
So the data will be collected by the online link and stored into the REDCap system.
Okay.
When you use the electronic survey, one of the new questions or one of the questions that will be on that survey is to ask them for the record ID number. And they will enter that record ID number into the electronic survey. So when they enter that information, it will be number, and we will be able to link those electronic surveys to the record ID number because you'll be creating that record in REDCap. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I asked because, this will be the first time doing that. So I wanted to clarify it.
Absolutely. No, that is a great question because it is very different than previous times.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments about the changes made to the REDCap system? How about any questions, concerns, or comments about REDCap in general? Any issues that anyone has been having? Okay, that's great. I'm glad that hopefully that was clear for you all. And if you do have any questions, obviously feel free to reach out to myself or to Libby. We're happy to answer any questions you might have if things go along. Libby, is your system working that you'd like to take them through the additional REDCap components?
All right, we are not working right now. I'm not sure what is going on, but we are not working. So
That's all right. I just wanted to
was
give
about
you
to
the
say, I think there's
opportunity
a.
to present.
Oh, I really appreciate that. I was about to say, I know which the list is, but I'll let you take over since you have control over the mouse.
All right. Excuse me for that. So we did want to, since we have a little bit of additional time after doing that presentation, we did want to point out a few things that we've noticed in the REDCap system that come up as issues during reporting period typically. So I just want to go through those quickly and kind of discuss those and point those out to everyone. So the first one being the program start and end date are really important to enter because we use those to pull out information when we do our quarterly reporting. So if there are, if one of the dates is not selected, it makes it difficult for us to do the reporting, and it might affect the numbers when we give you the quarterly reporting forms. So that's one of the reasons why we have this as must provide a value. If you don't know the end date when you first start, feel free to just estimate a date, and you can always come back in and change that and update that at a different period of time. Secondly, selecting a cohort curriculum is important because it then populates the fidelity log form in the REDCap system. So if you don't select your cohort form, I'm going to reset this. And it's going to tell me I didn't select a cohort, so that's why it's giving me that message. I'm going to say okay just for the purposes of showing you what happens. So I go into fidelity logs, and because I haven't selected a curriculum, you'll notice that there's no curriculum up here. There's usually a PDF of the curriculum, and there's no place to select which lesson you've completed the fidelity log for. So if we go back into cohort and we select our curriculum, then you'll notice that you have the fidelity log provided to you as a PDF at the top of the page, and then it also has all of the lessons now selected because it knows which curriculum that you're providing to those youth, and it can populate that. But this is handy in case you ever need a copy of your fidelity logs. Of course, you can always contact me and I can send you those fidelity logs, but it's also available to you in REDCap as something that you can download. Another common issue that comes up with REDCap is the participants. And that is when occasionally people will enter in a participant and enter in the information about them. We'll have all sessions will be blank and it will look like the youth did not attend a session. And so when we do our reporting, the youth didn't initiate programming because they didn't attend at least one session. So if your number of initiated youth is incorrect, that could be one of the reasons why, is that you have a youth that you've entered, but you forgot to or missed selecting which sessions they attended. The final thing that I'd like to show is just kind of a tip or trick, is that if you're in the Youth Participant Data Project and you would like to quickly go to the EYT program level project, there's a project bookmark section on the left-hand side where you can click on the program level data project, and it will take you right to the EYT program level data project. And it also has the same link that will take you back to the Youth Participant Data Project. So that's just a quick little back and forth tip if you'd like to use it. Additionally, we have in here in the project bookmarks the EYT REDCap data entry video, which we created a little over a year ago, that provides background on the REDCap system that may be useful for people who are starting with the REDCap system. It's a little out of date because we have made changes to the REDCap system, but it does have the general guides of how to name a cohort, how to enter data, and other helpful information.
Question for you, Allison.
Yes.
Typically when we start a cohort, the first couple of times, and we've had to change that now, but the first couple of times we won't be in the curriculum, and we'll do an introduction and things of that sort, and then we'll do a little activity to kind of get to know who the kids are and to introduce ourselves and things like that. And so we haven't been able to claim that time. And last year I did that, and then I listed the kids for the time in which we did the introductory and all of that kind of stuff, but I didn't check off any curriculum, so then we couldn't count them. I don't know if anyone else ever experiences that or not. Will there ever be a way that the class can begin when the class begins, whether we started the curriculum that day or not? Let me say it again. I started the class with introductions and activities, but that day we did not use the curriculum.
Okay.
So when I put their names in on the day that we started, and then in the system, it doesn't register that we used the curriculum that day, then it comes up as the kids don't count because they hadn't started yet. But we did start.
Because you started doing like introduction, you did stuff, but it wasn't
The curriculum.
necessarily the lesson of the curriculum.
Right.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So for now, the REDCap system solely tracks the curriculum and the participation in the actual curriculum. It doesn't track necessarily all the hours that you spend with them and doing additional activities such as introductions and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of the reason that we do that is because when we went to the curriculum booklets, we used to have another curriculum that we used that allowed us to do the intro part and all of that kind of stuff. But then when we went to the curriculum booklets, the booklets start almost immediately talking about sex. And we felt like we needed time to talk about some stuff before we jumped right into that, or the kids were like, oh, it's a shocker, I mean, the very first day they open the books, they're talking about sexual stuff, so we wanted to be able to do that introductory part of it and list the kids as, in the attendance and all that kind of stuff. And then I discovered that I discovered it last year, and I was like, oh no, I lost this many kids because I didn't start using the curriculum the very first day, so that's why I brought that up. So I don't know if there'll ever be a way to fix that or not, but I just thought I'd bring it up. I don't know if anyone else has experienced that.
Yeah, Teen Hype does. Basically what we do something similar to that as well. We kind of try to boost morale and get the youth to participate by going over like small reviews of what we're going to talk about, what the class is all about, what the program is about, what they could look forward to. We do that on the front end, and then again, we do more like a recap on the back end, but we don't get credit for those times that we go in. Right. So I definitely understand what you're saying. And sometimes we just call it doing the footwork to get the kids to participate in the classrooms assigned.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent way to run your programming. Unfortunately, it's just that's how the federal reporting works as far as how to calculate an initiated youth is how much time they spend in the actual curriculum. So that's why we report it in that way.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thanks for bringing that up, Timmy. I think that's a really important part. Are there any other questions or concerns about REDCap that we can help you with? We only have a few minutes left, but happy to answer any questions.
That's all I have.
All right, today, I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. And if anything comes up with the REDCap system, again, feel free to contact Libby or myself. We're always happy to help guide you through the system and help you with any of the issues that you might be having.
Thank you. We appreciate all of your help.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Timmy. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
You
Too.
too.